ended by the last team visiting team.
Hi, everybody. Gary Appley inside our New York studios alongside Tim Welsh and Norm Roberts, going to be here throughout the course of the night to get you caught up on all the Big East action. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh coming up here on SNY. They're about to tip out in Pittsburgh, going to get you there. Yancey Gates not going to play for Cincinnati, suspended indefinitely for violation of team rules. And so, Norm, Timmy, and I going to be back on the Harrah's halftime show. Enjoy the game from Pittsburgh coming up now.
That causes a lot of turnovers, and we saw the early turnover there, but Dixon missed the layup, and the Panthers will inbound.
And I don't know why Dixon didn't throw that down, because watching him in shoot-around and watching him in warm-ups, the guy can elevate quickly. I don't know why he didn't just dunk it. A little bit of nerves for the Bearcats.
And we will see a lot of full-court pressure from Mick Cronin's Bearcats team. Ashton Gibbs caught with the dribble inside to Robinson. Wanamaker, ejected. Beautiful play by Rashad Bishop.
And great patience there by Bishop. You can't fall for ball fakes against Pitt. They're very good at it.
Wanamaker in trouble. Shot clock winding down, and at the buzzer, Robinson able to score. And Mick Cronin talked about that ball fake that the Panthers, the best team in the country, are doing just that.
Now, a lot of it comes from their patience. You know, they're constantly trying to find the next best shot, and they don't care if they've got to work the shot clock down to 1. They're looking for the best shot they can get.
Mick Cronin not happy with that. A very sloppy turnover by his team early on. You can see he's done a great job of building this Bearcats program. They have won more games in each successive season and are on their way to doing that again this season. Gibbs in the corner for 3, and it's good for Ashton Gibbs.
Rob, Gibbs is one of the best at moving without the basketball, and because he's their main scorer, there's a lot of white jerseys looking to screen whoever is guarding Gibbs, and all he needs is a slice of daylight to get open.
And Dixon, the beautiful lob, and the jam down by Darnell Wilkes.
That's what I'm talking about, to create plays for your teammates. Dixon is great with the ball handling. He's got to get past that first line of defense, get in the middle, and then stay patient. Cincinnati worked a lot on finding that short corner pass today in shoot-around.
Gilbert Brown's jump shot off the mark, and Wright corrals it. Dixon jump shot. Too strong, rebound to McGee, battled inside with Darnell Wilkes, and they're going to call Wilkes on the foul. Head coach Jamie Nixon in his 8th season, 208 and 56, remarkable record. 102 and 42 in Big East play, nearly 71%, so it's not just non-conference play. Certainly they've been the beasts of the East. Darnell Wilkes, by the way, picking up his 2nd personal foul, so he checks out of the game. And Justin Jackson, a 6'8 freshman, checks in for the Bearcats, number 5. Nice play by Ibrahima Thomas, coming over to swat away the entry pass.
I really like this guy, Thomas. I mean, he's so energetic, loves to play defense, and did a great job of moving his feet to get around a big body, Gary McGee.
Three-pointer on the way, no good by Wright. Thomas battles for it and keeps it alive. Now a three-pointer on the way. That's short, and McGee will pull down this rebound. It's a shot by Larry Davis, who's off the mark. Gilbert Brown penetrates in the reverse attempt, way off the mark. Kept alive by Brown. And here's Gibbs, a floater that goes.
Because Pitt is so good off the bounce, it makes you play better help side defense, and when you do that, you have to leave your guy. You're not able to box him out. That creates a lot of offensive rebounding opportunities.
Inside to Justin Jackson, left-handed move for the freshman, a pretty one. Bearcats showing some pressure, but now moving back, and Mick Cronin talked about that. It's not always to get turnovers, but to take a little more time off the clock and make it harder for the Panthers to get into their offense.
And you'll see him throw a lot of different looks and try and shake up the defense to confuse Pitt, but you got to get a lot closer on Ashton Gibbs if you're going to try and contest a shot.
Gibbs is feeling it, has 8 of the Panthers' 10 points. Bishop in trouble, gets it back to Kashmir Wright. 15 in the shot clock. Davis blocked by Wanamaker. Kept alive, 4 on the shot clock. Don't know if he realizes it. And it's going to be a shot clock violation. So the Panthers turning up the defense offensively. It's been Ashton Gibbs, 8 of the Panthers' 10 points as they lead 10-4 early on at the Peterson Event Center.
Well, here it is, just announced for 2010, the coveted J.D. Power and Associates Trophy for highest customer satisfaction among high-speed internet service providers in the Eastern region. Hey, congratulations. And this is the 2010 J.D. Power and Associates highest in residential telephone customer satisfaction in the East Region Trophy. Congratulations yourself. Thank you. Optimum Voice and Optimum Online, rated highest for customer satisfaction.
A&J Scrap Metal is one of the largest scrap metal dealers servicing the 5 boroughs. We'll pay you top dollar for your scrap metal. All junk cars and trucks are wanted. Small cars at $150, mid-size $200, full-size $250, large cars $300 and up. We provide 24-hour free pickup. Call now and earn fast cash. We buy all kinds of metal: copper, brass, aluminum, steel, all ferrous and non-ferrous. We can come to you and give you hassle-free cash. 718-657-6900.
My name is Dawn Susie Quita.
Belinda Tricia. 6-7 years ago, I wouldn't have a clue what HPV or cervical cancer were.
I had never heard of it until after being diagnosed with cervical cancer.
My hope for everyone, for every woman, would be that they don't have to sit in the doctor's office and hear the words,
"It's malignant. You have cervical cancer. Do you want to have any more children?"
Women shouldn't have to go through this alone. There's nothing to be ashamed about.
We hear the same thing over and over again. I didn't know what HPV was. I'd never heard of cervical cancer, but nobody wants to talk about it, or we're talking about it.
Some types of HPV can cause cervical cancer.
And that's why it's important for women to talk to their medical professional about HPV and cervical cancer.
Welcome back to the Peterson Event Center. Big East basketball presented by PNC. The Pitt Panthers, number 4 in the country, out to an early 10-4 start thanks to a member of our Start Watch, Ashton Gibbs.
The first one out for shoot-around, the first one out for warm-ups. 1,000 shots a day over the summer. Ashton Gibbs is a product of hard work. He's already 3 of 3 tonight for the line, and you got to close out better if you're Cincinnati and make Ashton go around you. You know, it wouldn't be a bad idea for Cincinnati to think about putting one of their lengthier forwards on Gibbs just to try and contest the shot. You know, Gibbs so good at coming off the screen to get open, but you know, why not get somebody a little more energetic on him?
Trayvon Woodall has checked into the game, is handling the ball for the Panthers, who have also moved J.J. Richardson into action. And we mentioned in the open a couple of guys not playing as Trayvon Woodall's three-pointer off the mark, rebounded to Cincinnati. You will not see Dante Taylor, the sophomore who backs up center Gary McGee. They nearly split time, nor will you see Lamar Patterson. Taylor a little bit banged up, has a knee injury, had an MRI earlier this week, showed no damage. He is not going to play, nor is Lamar Patterson, so the Panthers' depth a little hurting tonight, but that guy is not. Ashton Gibbs, another three-pointer. Gibbs has 11 of the Panthers' 13. Off the screen and roll, Anthony McLean is fouled. Anthony Biggie McLean. You heard Coach Mick Cronin talking about Biggie. That is Anthony McLean, the big 7-foot senior.
Comes off the screen. Great job by McLean to recognize no defense in the lane. So he shifts, all 290 pounds of himself down the lane and gets the ball right where he needs it. Gained 50 pounds during the offseason from what Mick Cronin tells us, and that's a lot of weight. I mean, that takes a lot of hard work to put on 50 pounds, whether it's, looks like most of it's muscle there. McLean's been in the weight room.
And it said closer to 7'1" than 7 feet. Sometimes you see a 7-footer, you wonder if it's legitimate. McLean closer to 7'1", according to head coach Mick Cronin.
And Cronin felt like he really needed to put on the weight because as tall as he was, you need to be able to go in against guys like Gary McGee. And Cronin was quick to say, his movement is an issue, but Gary McGee may have met his match when it comes to strength. With a name like Biggie, you better be strong.
And a really nice looking stroke there from the free throw line. Good rotation, hits them both, 60% free throw shooter on the season. Inside to Nasir Robinson, and he's fouled. So he'll go to the free throw line for the Panthers.
Robinson comes in as a post, but you see moves very well. And this is something that Pitt is so good at, is finding those backdoor open lanes. If you fall asleep on defense, Pitt will make you pay for it and make you do it very early.
Robinson has struggled from the free throw line, just a 51% shooter, and he hits the first. Began the season inactive. He had a knee injury. Talib Zana started the first several games, and Robinson came back, slowly worked his way back into the starting lineup for the Panthers. And he hits them both. The lead is 9, 15-6. Kilpatrick from the corner off the side of the backboard. McLean right there missed the short one and then was held up by Nasir Robinson. So McLean, a nice job getting the offensive rebound, missed the easy putback, but he'll go to the line. And Sean Kilpatrick has checked into the game, as we saw for the Bearcats, missing that three-point attempt. They're going to say that foul was on the floor. Bearcats will inbound underneath the Panthers basket. Larry Davis kicks out. Tough shot, and going to get the charge foul on Justin Jackson, the freshman, a little out of control on that one, Brooke.
And tremendous textbook defense here for Pitt. You've got guys driving middle, then you see the help side to come over from Nasir. Good closeout, then you've got another guy in Gibbs willing to give up his body to take the charge. And, when you think you've got an opening in the lane, Pitt's always sending somebody there to help side and recover back out to contest the three. That's just textbook defense. Looked very good for Pittsburgh.
Foul issues perhaps early on in the game. Justin Jackson has picked up a pair for the Bearcats, as well as Darnell Wilkes. Take a look at the field goal percentages for each team. Trayvon Woodall's pass behind. And here's Larry Davis back the other way. And Davis hangs it, and it's no good. Batted back in. Nice follow-up by Justin Jackson.
And good patience there by the Bearcats to wait for the ball to get out of the cylinder and not get called for a goaltend.
Wonder if maybe that slap by Jackson on the way by affected that. It looked like he hit the backboard in his first attempt flying through. Woodall thought about the three, another steal. And this is Rashad Bishop, and he will throw it down. So a couple of turnovers, and it's suddenly a 5-point deficit.
Jamie Dixon pacing the sidelines, almost getting all the way to the baseline. Wants a timeout. No doubt he's going to address these turnovers. Trayvon Woodall with a few miscues here early in the first half. Well, Cincinnati loves to cause turnovers, and if you get deep and turn around, you just see them waiting and anticipation by Rashad Bishop to get out in the lane. I don't like the slowdown in transition. Go full force, get the dunk, get your guys hyped up, get a little more energy. Cincinnati has yet to bring that tonight.
Let's take a look at our Big East leaders, brought to you by PNC. For the achiever and us all scoring defense, we're seeing the top two defensive teams in the Big East. No surprise with the Pitt Panthers, always among the best defenders in the league. Mick Cronin's team has really played great stifling defense all season long. In fact, only just 3 games in which they haven't had more turnovers than assists allowed in a game.
We'll give a lot of credit to Mick Cronin and what he's been able to do really with just rebuilding an entire program. You know, growing up in Cincinnati, defense has always been a part of the University of Cincinnati. Mick Cronin really picked up where Bob Huggins, the tradition, left off. He's done a tremendous job rebuilding this program.
Had 1 scholarship player when he arrived. And again, as we mentioned earlier, has had more wins in each subsequent year. So, and again, that will happen this year for Mick Cronin. So 5 straight years of an improving program. Went to the NITs a year ago. Was telling us earlier today that an NCAA tournament would do wonders for his program. Already has an excellent recruiting class lined up for next season.
Talked about establishing a standard of excellence, and that will only begin with an NCAA tournament berth.
Talib Zanas checked into the game. He goes back out to Wanamaker. 3 off the mark. Rebounded Deion Dixon. And Dixon will slow things down. Lead's been cut to 5, 15-10. Cincinnati forced a couple turnovers, got some easy transition baskets. Five on the shot clock, nowhere to go for Dixon. Back to Davis, down to Thomas, and another shot clock violation. Well, the Panthers have forced a couple defensive struggle between the Panthers and Cincinnati Bearcats. Our week in review in the Big East when we return after this to the Peterson Event Center.
Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena.
Think about the players who have played here, the games that have been won here. There just isn't any other place like it.
You can go back through, decades now of history and tradition.
We walked in, and I could remember back when I was a player, and we played here.
It's a thrill to take the court in Madison Square Garden in New York, in the mecca of basketball.
It's the one place that I think every player around the country will tell you, like, yeah, I want to play in the Garden.
My parents always lived in Queens until my dad transferred to Istanbul. They settled in quickly, found their local deli, a few shortcuts, and a neighborhood hangout. But there's one thing they miss, their beloved New York Mets. So Citi helped me use my thank you points to give them something special. Their old seats, 5 and 6, row C.
Use Citi Thank You points for almost anything and earn them fast with the new Citi Thank You Preferred Card. What's your story? Citi can help you write it.
Big East Basketball on SNY. Join Gary Apple, Norm Roberts, and Tim Welsh for all your first half highlights and analysis, plus all the latest conference updates and news on Harrah's Halftime Show, up next on SNY. They're two friends who couldn't disagree more on the latest in New York sports. Catch Chris Carlin.
Pack it in, sweetheart.
And Adam Shaw.
What is this, amateur hours?
On Loudmouths, presented by Geico, part of the New York Sports Local. Weeknights at 6, only on SNY.
Back at the Peterson Event Center, time for our Big East Week in Review. The Syracuse Orangemen snapping their 4-game losing streak with a win over UConn. Meanwhile, Kemba Walker for the Huskies, a season-low 8 points in that loss to Syracuse. And Preston Knowles, hamstring injury, questionable Wednesday versus Notre Dame, missing this weekend's game against DePaul. Catching you up on some of the news around the Big East Conference, a very important game here. The first-place Pitt Panthers, ranked number 4 in the country, taking on the Cincinnati Bearcats, who some would say, Brooke, need a signature win to really nail down their NCAA tournament resume.
Well, they really don't have a bad loss. I mean, they lost to West Virginia at home, and Mick Cronin says by far that was our worst game of the year. But all of the 3 losses have come on the road. The 2 losses, rather, to Notre Dame, Syracuse, and Villanova. And Cincinnati came in here missing Yancey Gates. It's a big hole in their interior.
So J.J. Moore handling the ball, has it here. He checks into the game. The freshman, again, expecting to see more time. With Lamar Patterson and Talib Zana out, and now Zana with a high screen going to be called for a foul. So again, if you're just joining us, Yancey Gates, starting center for the Bearcats, out of the game. For the Pitt Panthers, 2 valuable reserves, Dante Taylor and Lamar Patterson will not play. And that guy, Ashton Gibbs, has 11 of the Panthers' 15 points. Each team with 5 turnovers as we near the halfway point of the first half. On the shot clock. Bishop being guarded by Moore. 3-point attempt on the way, too strong by Thomas. Rebound back to Bishop, fresh 35. Davis, a soft shot in the lane and gets the roll, and the lead cut down to 3.
Both teams really focusing on getting the ball into the middle of the floor. You see Cincinnati trying to come off those ball screens. Pitt hedges very well off the ball screen. Gary McGee, a big body to try and get around. And watch how Pitt attacks the middle a little bit better. Cincinnati doesn't hedge quite as hard. And Pitt gets into the middle of the floor a lot easier.
That Wanamaker, tough step back jumper. Brad Wanamaker averaging over 12 points, nearly 5 rebounds, and over 5 assists per game. The Panthers score their first field goal in 4.5 minutes, Brooke.
I think Wanamaker's one of the best players in the Big East, certainly the most complete player. And if he was averaging 17 a game, we'd be talking about putting this guy on first-team All-American list.
The Bearcats have done a nice job last couple trips of getting offensive rebounds against the top rebounding team in the Big East.
Well, they're athletic, which means they can get up and get off the floor very quickly. And when it's a rebound, it's a lot about timing and a lot about hustle. And Cincinnati, very good athletically, wants it a little bit more.
Dixon, shot off the mark, rebound to McGee, out to Robinson, 2-on-1 with Moore. And J.J. Moore fouled as he goes to the basket by Rashad Bishop.
This is one thing Mick Cronin very concerned about, was the open transition baskets for Pitt off of those quick rebounds. I know Rashad Bishop was trying to make a case. He got all ball on that, but he got a lot of arm too.
J.J. Moore, very talented freshman, has been easing his way into Big East Conference play. Again, expected to see more time tonight. With Patterson and Taylor out, hits the first of the 2 free throws as Kashmir Wright checks back into the game for Dixon for the Bearcats. And Moore delivers the second, so the lead back up to 7 for the Panthers, 19-12.
If you take away the offensive rebounds for Cincinnati, it's really to Pitt's benefit to stay very patient on defense. And Cincinnati is a great transition team. They score a lot of points off their turnovers, but in the half-court set, the longer in the shot clock it goes, they tend to struggle.
Doing a nice job on the offensive boards again, but this time Robinson cleans up the second miss. Gibbs in transition. Panthers will slow it back down. J.J. Moore has his 3-point attempt blocked. It's Rashad Bishop who had the block, keeps it alive, pulls up, missed the shot. McGee with the rebound.
Now Thomas should have made himself more available in the paint. Bishop got far enough in there, but just didn't make the right decision once he got close.
Want to make a nice pass to Robinson, pump fake, step under, missed the layup. And the rebound out of bounds will remain Panther basketball. And Justin Jackson and Sean Kilpatrick will check in for the Bearcats, and Gilbert Brown in, number 5 for the Panthers. Fresh 35 shot clock, 8:11 remaining in the first half. Panthers up 7. Long safe inbound to Gilbert Brown. Ashton Gibbs to pull up and will get the roll. It's a long 2-pointer for Gibbs, who has 13 to the Panthers' 21. back up to 9. The Bearcats not gotten a whole lot going offensively. Davis being held up. Spins away from Wanamaker and will hit.
I'm not real sure.
The crowd wanted something there.
Either a foul or a travel, but that was something. That had to be called for something. Wow.
Davis's basket cuts the lead to 7, 21-14. Gibbs the fake step back three-pointer, and it's good. Ashton Gibbs is on fire. He has 16 points, and the Panthers' lead is up to 10.
Gibbs just feeling it, and you've got to respect his shot. So Kilpatrick trying to do something to contest it, but Gibbs just staying so patient.
Ibrahima Thomas with a short jump hook. Lead back down to 8. Here Robinson has it pulled away by Jackson. It's going to be Robinson who's going to be called for the foul, but it's Ashton Gibbs who is lighting up the Peterson Event Center. Gibbs has 16 points. His three-pointer helping the Panthers extend their lead to 8.
Want a better way to track what you spend? PNC Virtual Wallet now comes with Spending Zone. It organizes all your spending, including your PNC debit card, credit card, and your bills. So you can view them by category or by month. You can set a budget, and it'll even alert you when you're getting close to the amount you've set and when you've gone over. Spending Zone is built to help you keep better track of your spending. Experience everything Virtual Wallet has to offer at pncvirtualwallet.com. PNC, for the achiever in us all.
Enjoy a complete seafood dinner for 2 for just $29.99 at Red Lobster with fresh salads and biscuits, your choice of entrees, and an appetizer or a dessert to share for a limited time at Red Lobster.
Women love chocolate.
A heart-shaped box of chocolate is a must. That heart-shaped box of chocolates goes a long way.
I'd love to get a heart-shaped box on Valentine's Day.
Don't give her just any chocolates. Give her Russell Stover chocolates with the famous Russell Stover bow.
Should be green. Okay. Hi, I'm Joe Kennedy, and I want you to meet a friend of mine, Courtney. Courtney's mom, Elaine, had to quit work to care for her sick daughter, who's been fighting leukemia for half of her short life. There are millions of families like Courtney's who are having a tough time making it these days. Folks can't pay their bills, and staying warm just isn't possible. Let us remember at this particular time that kindness counts, and that there's still room for a gentle response to those in need. So I want to thank the people of Venezuela and Citgo Petroleum for their generosity. We'll have our differences, but they were the only country and the only oil company to answer our call to provide heating assistance to the poor. If you need help staying warm, give me a call at Citizens Energy at 1-877-JOE for oil, because no one should be left out in the cold.
Welcome back to Big East basketball presented by PNC. The 4th-ranked Pitt Panthers leading the Cincinnati Bearcats 24-16. All season long, Champion Apparel will be showcasing the tradition and history of the Big East Conference. Tonight, let's take a look at the city of Pittsburgh, the city of champions. The Pittsburgh Steelers with 6 Super Bowl titles, 2 in the last 5 years. Of course, looking for number 7 tomorrow. The Penguins with 3 Stanley Cup championships. The Panthers, 10 straight NCAA tournament appearances, 9 football national titles. You can throw in 5 World Series championships for the Pirates. Most NFL titles, by the way, Green Bay. Of course, they have 3 Super Bowl titles. They won 9 titles prior to the AFC-NFC merger that led to the present-day NFL and the Super Bowl. We thank Champion Apparel for our look at the city of champions with the city of Pittsburgh. Larry Davis hitting a 3-pointer for the Bearcats, so the lead down to 5.
You're really just trying to do anything to jumpstart the offense for Cincinnati. 33% from the floor is Cincinnati, and well, really it's just been Ashton Gibbs for Pitt at 6 of 6. They're shooting 57%, but perfect night so far for Ashton.
And Davis, one of those guys to keep an eye on. They say once he gets one down, he can really catch fire. 43% shooter from 3-point range. Rebound batted out of bounds will remain Panther basketball.
Yeah, Davis, you know, his freshman through junior year, he didn't have too much of an impact, but he's really turned that around. He's become a much better aggressive defender, gives you a lot of energy off the bench, and as we see in the last possession, can really start to knock down those threes.
Nice pass from McGee to Gilbert Brown. Began with Brad Wanamaker leaping up to catch the ball and finding somebody in midair. What a pretty play.
Well, they always find something out of nothing, and even when you don't think there's much, look at the passing. Just great bounce pass, interior passing there from Gary McGee. You know, Pitt is so good at that give and go that they needle and they prod into the interior, into the paint there. And just wait for you to make the mistake, and then they capitalize on it.
Brown hits the first. A couple substitutions coming into the game. Biggie McLean back in for Cincinnati, and J.J. Richardson in for Gary McGee. And Brown's second free throw is good. Panthers lead back up to 7. Cincinnati kind of hanging around. They really haven't put a huge charge at the Panthers throughout this first half.
Haven't gotten a lot of buckets off the transition. They're outscoring Pitt 14-4 in the paint. With just 4 fast break points, and Rob, that is a big part to Cincinnati's game, is making sure they get those turnovers. And they've missed a couple dunks.
Yep, Thomas misses that jam. Back in the corner, Davis with a three-pointer. It's short. Rebound to Wanamaker. Well, you can ill afford misses like that against the number 4 team in the country. Wanamaker driving in, draws the block call. And it's Thomas who's going to be charged with a foul. That is the 7th personal foul, so it'll be a 2-shot foul anyway for Wanamaker, but Panthers will be in the bonus the rest of the half.
Well, you can appreciate as a coach, you know, Thomas giving up his body to try and make up for a mistake and missing the dunk, but just did not get into position and stay there. You've got to get position and make sure you're there for at least a 1-second count and let the defense just run right into you.
Earlier we showed you one Big East tradition. What's your favorite? You can vote on your favorite tradition by going to facebook.com/champion and clicking on the poll tab. Wanamaker missed the first of 2 free throws and will now try his second. That's off the mark as well, but the rebound going to be batted out of bounds, and the Panthers will get the ball back. Trayvon Woodall hustles over, and he will check in for Brad Wanamaker.
Again, good hustle, but you see Jackson yelling at McLean after the play. And Jackson's already had a couple of technicals this year, and Mick Cronin talked about trying to get him to settle down a little bit, keep him out of foul trouble. You love the energy and you love the spark, but you know, if you're both going after the ball, don't be the guy that yells at your teammate.
Khalid Zana being called for the travel there. The Bearcats still hanging around, down 7. The Panthers, that is their 7th turnover. Uncharacteristic. Usually very good at taking care of the basketball. Dixon's dump down pass is swatted away by Zana. Goes to Woodall looking to run. Brown cut off along the baseline, another turnover. Bearcats coming back the other way. It's Kashmir Wright. And Wright shot off the mark. Rebound to Jackson, trying to muscle his way in. Will kick it out to Dixon, and his short shot off the mark. Brown rebounds.
Not seeing Cincinnati force the issue on those turnovers. It's almost like they're taking a gear off. Once they get out in the lane, then Pitt will come back. And then, like I said, you give them an inch of daylight, you've got shooters on the team. Gibbs, Wanamaker, and Brown are all deadly three-point shooters.
Brown's 3 has extended the lead to 10, and Mick Cronin wants a timeout. So we've seen on the one end the Bearcats unable to take advantage of those transition opportunities. We've seen some missed dunks, and the Panthers making them pay on the other end.
Well, Rob, you said it. I mean, you can't afford to make mistakes barely at all when you go on the road, when you play the number 4 team in the country. But to me, Cincinnati is just taking the plays off. You get the steal, go, sprint out in the open lane, dunk it, give your team some energy and spirit to get revved up to play defense on the next possession.
Bearcats started out the season 15-0. You take a look at their wins versus top 50 RPI teams, and this is what we're talking about, a resume-building win. As you said, no bad losses, all 4 losses to top 50 RPI teams, just 2 victories over top 50 RPI teams.
Well, and this is a season that the Big East has really risen above, in my opinion, every other conference that's out there. And there's a lot of talk between, you know, anywhere from 8 to 11 teams making the tournament, but you want to play things safe. And of course, you know, Pitt doesn't necessarily have to win this game, but of course they come in obviously wanting to hold their own at home. And Cincinnati, in my opinion, does need a very good road win, and none better to get one than tonight on the road against Pitt in a very tough place to play at Peterson Event Center.
They'll be battling teams like St. John's and Marquette. I've already beaten St. John's once, but they'll play them again. They'll play Marquette. So those are going to be looming as important games as well. And then again, boy, I mean, some people just can't fathom the idea of 11 teams from a conference making it into the tournament. But, you know, the Big East, I mean, St. John's one of those teams battling for a spot. They just walloped Duke last weekend. I mean, it's been a very impressive conference this season.
And they almost got the win at UCLA today. I mean, talk about the fact that you've got to fly all the way across the country. It was an early tip. You're getting these guys ready. They weren't tired, and they played 40 minutes of tough defense. UCLA with a great win, pulled it out at the end. But what a job Steve Lavin has done with those guys, basically coming in with a team full of 10 seniors. You know, it was great. I had his game at Georgetown last week, and just mentioning, how do you come in as a coach taking over 10 seniors? He said, well, I've kind of taken the approach like a stepdad, not trying too hard, really letting the guys get a chance to respect me, and it's worked.
Biggie McLean hits 1 of 2. Lead is 9 for the Panthers. Lavin's brought in a highly heralded recruiting class as well. McGee's jump hook off the mark, rebound to Jackson. Dixon was slow in hand to Kashmir right. Jackson thought about it, back to right. Now Wright will pull things back. Under 10 on the shot clock. Already seen 2 violations for the Bearcats. And we're going to get a charge inside as Jackson out of control, and Zana steps in and takes the charge call. Lead is 9. The Panthers up 29-20 at the Peterson Event Center.
Do you want to discover why Puerto Rico does it better? Just think, in a few short hours, you could be in the oldest city in the United States, where you can experience 500 years of culture, people, rhythms, and tropical rainforest next to crystal clear beaches and the friendliest people in the Caribbean. If you want to discover even more, just think Puerto Rico. Visit seepuertorico.com and discover why Puerto Rico does it better.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, call now to get the new talking meter. Arriva makes it simple. They bill Medicare directly. There are no upfront costs. And they deliver your supplies right to your door for free.
Number 22, Charles Jenkins. Number 32, Greg Washington. Led by Coach Mo Casera. Gets the non-stop action that's fun for the whole family, with tickets starting as low as $5 and special giveaways and promotions at every game. Get your tickets now. Call 516-HOFTIXX or visit GoHopster.com.
What you call the greatest day of your life,
I'll be right back.
we call Tuesday. Caesars Atlantic City, routinely spectacular.
The always rowdy Oakland Zoo helping welcome you back to Big East basketball presented by PNC. The Panthers have a 9-point lead over the Cincinnati Bearcats. Brooke Weisbrod, part of the reason for that, some struggles for the Bearcats offensively in close.
Now this would easily be a 2 or 3 point game, but you've got miscues like this. No reason a 6'11" guy can't finish on the dunk. And then Justin Jackson turning his body away, afraid the ball's going to get blocked. And just not a lot of offensive rebounding. And of course the charge here by Jackson. And he had to get calmed down by Mick Cronin and Ibrahima Thomas in that last timeout. They were putting his hands on his shoulder, trying to tell him to calm down. You know, Jackson is a fiery player, but very quick to get called for a technical twice this season. He's really got to calm down.
3 personal fouls on Thomas, by the way, as Zana gets a nice feet inside, and some foul trouble early on. Again, a depleted squad. No Yancey Gates. Jackson with 3 personal fouls. Thomas and Wilkes with 2 apiece. So something to certainly keep an eye on. Mick Cronin's team has some issues here. Trailing by 9 as Talib Zana will go to the free throw line. And he hits the first of 2. And here's a look at today's storylines. Yancey Gates not on the trip with Cincinnati. Pittsburgh without Lamar Patterson, suspended for 1 game. And Dante Taylor, who is nursing a right knee injury as Gary McGee taps it back in. And the Panthers up 31-20. 32-20 make that.
That's the perfect play where you miss a guy like Yancey Gates, able to really put a body on Gary McGee and get him out of the lane. And on offense, of course, Gates a big finisher down low. And some of those dunks that we've seen that are misses, that ball gets down into Gates. I doubt it's anything but a dunk.
16 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 blocks against Pitt last year. You take that out of your lineup. It was a 3-point Panther victory last year in Cincinnati. That's a big, big item to be taking out as Trayvon Woodall heads to the bench and Brad Wanamaker checks back in for the Panthers. Kashmir Wright will inbound for the Bearcats. Wright has it batted away. Wanamaker comes up with a steal ahead to Ashton Gibbs, and Gibbs misses the layup. Wanamaker, a hustling finish. Boy, what a terrific effort play by Brad Wanamaker.
And I think he finished with his left hand too. It might have just tipped it behind his head. That was a great hustle and effort play by Brad Wanamaker. I mean, he's the reason these guys are as good as they are in clutch situations.
Wanamaker gets a hand on that ball, but Bishop got it back. Ashton Gibbs appears to be limping slightly as Bishop's shot to say off the mark, but around and in. Off glass, off the front of the rim and down for 3 points. As we take a look at Gibbs, who looks to be hobbling a little bit.
And this would be the time for Cincinnati to put in that 2-2-1 press that's been so effective. We've yet to see it installed tonight. I mean, there's been no pressure full court from Cincinnati.
And part of the problem, they haven't made enough baskets to get it in, but even when they have, as we take a look at a stop here in the officials, and we're going to get a personal foul on the Panthers. Look at that follow by Brad Wanamaker. Tremendous effort. And there's Gibbs coming up, and it appears to be the point. Is it the knee or the ankle? Looks like he's kind of messing around with that left knee a little bit, doesn't it? Now Talib Zana with a steal. Back to Gibbs, pressing forward, and Gibbs does a nice job of drawing contact in the foul call. Found the extra gear there, didn't he? Huh?
Well, it doesn't hurt when you have a chance to score. And Zana with the great length and anticipation, just, Pitt is so good at deflecting the basketball, not necessarily getting the steal, but Zana got it and found Gibbs. Good job by a post player. Look for a guard, get him the ball. And like I said, Gibbs has a chance to score. All of the pain in your knee just sort of fades away real quickly.
Let's see. Former Southern Conference Player of the Year talking, and knows something about scoring some points. As Trayvon Woodall comes in for Talib Zana. So you bring a point guard in for a big guy, but the Panthers, a lot of versatility in this lineup. And Gibbs, an 89% free throw shooter, nails them both, has half of the Panthers' points, 18 of their 36. The lead is 13.
And Gibbs still grabbing that left knee. I would imagine they want to check this out. Not too much time left before they go in the first half.
Nearing the 1 minute mark. Larry Davis moving to his left, into the lane, lost it. McGee comes away with it to Gilbert Brown. On the run, up to Brad Wanamaker. Wanamaker spins, left-handed finish. Beautiful play by Brad Wanamaker.
We've seen some acrobatics for Mr. Wanamaker tonight. Wow, I mean, he's the guy who looks for contact in the lane, but able to complete a full spin move in the air, still finish.
Panthers lead at 15 as their largest of the game. Skipping the corner to Bishop. Three-pointer on the way. No good. Rebound follow attempt is also no good. McGee with a rebound. Tied up with McClain, and they're going to call a jump ball. And it will be possession arrow, Cincinnati.
Now here's another play where I think Cincinnati makes the mistake of not just going up and dunking it. I mean, I think Wilkes is a good enough guy and an athletic guy. I mean, just take one more step, jump, dunk that. The last thing you want to do is come down with the ball and try and go up against Gary McGee in the lane. I mean, just do what you can with as little time as you have and try and score.
And the inbounds pass off the mark. Panthers look to run. It's Brad Wanamaker streaking through a reverse layup, and he scores, and the lead is 17 for the Panthers. Bishop's left-handed shot off the mark. Wanamaker, one more chance to score. He's going to pull up a long three at the buzzer. Off the mark, but the lead 17 for the Panthers. Ashton Gibbs, a sensational 18-point first-half performance for the Panthers. 6 of 7 from the field and 4 for 4 from the free throw line. So the number 4 team in the country, leading by 17, 40-23. Back for the halftime show from the Peterson Event Center after this.
It is the Harris Halftime Show as we welcome you inside our New York studios. Gary Apple alongside the coaches, Tim Welsh and Norm Roberts. And fellas, all Pittsburgh in that opening half. They lead up by 17 at the break on a very big Saturday in the Big East. And it really was the Ashton Gibbs show in that first half.
Well, one of the worst things that can happen is you face Pitt after a loss. And the second worst thing that can happen is face them at home after an almost loss. And that's what happened. They had a week to get ready after a poor performance at Rutgers, and they were ready today.
Get a look at Gibbs right here. 6 of 7 from the floor, 4 of 4 from beyond the arc.
Well, they're doing a great job of him moving without the basketball and them getting him the ball at the right time. And when he gets his feet set, he shoots it as good as anybody in America.
You can see the confidence in which he is playing right now. And not just the confidence, but getting good shots, getting open to take shots as we get a look at the opening half shot chart for Ashton Gibbs.
Well, the shot chart's interesting because, obviously, clearly you have to make shots, to make yourself look good. But they made shots after they moved the ball, moved the men, screened better. And Pittsburgh spent all week working on that. Jamie Dixon thought it was a big weakness last week down at Rutgers where they kind of stood around, didn't move the passes, moved the ball from side to side. Tonight they're doing that very, very easily.
Pittsburgh shot to over 54% in that opening half, and that's high percentage shots. A lot of them. On the flip side, Cincinnati shot at just about 31% in that first half. I don't think there's any question about it, guys. They are missing their big guy in the middle. That's Yancey Gates. He was suspended indefinitely for violation of team rules. And Norm, he's a big absence in the middle for Mick Cronin.
Well, not only offensively, but defensively as well. But the thing about him is that he opens up space on the floor because he takes up so much space in the lane. Without him inside there, they do not have a go-to guy in the post.
He is their leading rebounder as well, so they miss him. Again, it's a 17-point lead for number 4 Pittsburgh at the half. They come into the game at 20-2 and 8-1 in the Big East. And as we roll on here on the Harris Halftime Show, going to check in on UCLA and St. John's at Pauley Pavilion in Westwood. A big day for Dwight Hardy. Wasn't enough for Steve Lavin. Going to have that. And Syracuse coming off that big win over Connecticut, going on the road to South Florida. Highlights of that and so much more when we come back in a moment.
Welcome back.
They just really struggled a lot on those interior passes. A lot of turnovers, and for Pitt, well, really, it's just been Ashton Gibbs. Perfect from behind the line. 4-7 overall. Pitt shooting 54%. Cincinnati at 30, and I mentioned those offensive rebounds for Cincinnati. They've got 12, 5 more than Pittsburgh. Usually we always talk about Pitt and how good of an offensive rebounding team they are. Cincinnati has not been able to score off those offensive rebounds. And if they want to get something going, they've got to do it from the tip in the second half.
No Yancey Gates in this game, as we talked about. Second leading scorer, leading rebounder for the Bearcats. If you're Mick Cronin, what are you telling your team at halftime?
Well, I think you ask everybody to step their game up a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of easy turnovers, and you see already Cincinnati playing with a little more energy on defense. They've got to create more turnovers. They didn't do a good enough job of that in the first half. And Pitt gave away the ball a few times. Again, you can't allow open shots. Gilbert Brown's another guy who moves very well without the basketball.
Got one there and knocked it down. A three-pointer for Brown. The lead is 20, the largest lead of the game. Swatted away by Wanamaker. Able to come up with a loose ball in transition, being hounded by Dixon. The foul called on Dixon. And the first personal of the second half was on Deion Dixon, and that is his first personal.
Cincinnati again just struggling to find their way to the basket. The big hedge there by Gary McGee. They've gotten into trouble once they've gotten the ball in the paint. If you've got an open jump shot around the free throw line, if you're Deion Dixon, go ahead and pull the trigger and fire. You can make that shot.
There's Ashton Gibbs in a three-pointer. Boy, he continues to shoot it. 21 points for Ashton Gibbs. 5 for 5 from three-point range. The lead is at 23. Rashard Bishop shot well off the mark. Rebound to Wanamaker. Ahead to Gilbert Brown. Gibbs in the lane. Shot off the mark. Probably about the only thing he's missed all night. Long three-point attempt by Larry Davis, well off the mark. Hustles to get his own rebound back, and the score inside, and Mick Cronin wants an early timeout. And with that timeout, it will be extended to a full timeout. The lead is at 21. Panthers 46-25 over the Bearcats.
Want a better way to track what you spend? PNC Virtual Wallet now comes with Spending Zone. It organizes all your spending, including your PNC debit card, credit card, and your bills. So you can view them by category or by month. You can set a budget, and it'll even alert you when you're getting close to the amount you've set and when you've gone over. Spending Zone is built to help you keep better track of your spending. Experience everything Virtual Wallet has to offer at pncvirtualwallet.com. PNC, for the achiever in us all.
Enjoy a complete seafood dinner for two for just $29.99 at Red Lobster. With fresh salads and biscuits, your choice of entrees, and an appetizer or a dessert to share. For a limited time at Red Lobster.
Valentine's Day, a tradition that lets us show our love to those closest to us. This Valentine's Day, give the sweetest of American traditions, the Whitman Sampler Heart. Whitman's, an American tradition since 1842.
What you call the greatest day of your life,
I'll be right back.
we call Tuesday. Caesars Atlantic City, routinely spectacular.
The rumors, the trades, the free agents. Kevin Burkhardt has the latest on the Mets' winter workings, shaping your 2011 Mets roster. With exclusive interviews, insider info, and special guest analysis on all the Mets' offseason moves. Plus, the latest news from around the league all winter long. Mets Hot Stove, Thursday at 7, only on SNY.
Get your New York sports here.
More exciting Big East Hoops action comes your way Saturday, February 12th, when the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame head to Tampa to take on the Bulls of South Florida. Ben Hansbrough and the Fighting Irish continue to surprise people and now have their eyes set on a Big East championship. But standing in their way is Augustus Gilchrist and the USF Bulls. It's the Big East game of the week as Notre Dame takes on the Bulls of South Florida Saturday, February 12th at noon Eastern, 11 Central, only on the Big East Network.
And here at the Peterson Event Center, that first place team in the Big East is the Pitt Panthers. Their lead is 21. Jamie Dixon's squad tying the best start in school history, done a couple of times in 03-04 and 06-07, starting 8-1 in Big East play, looking to improve to 9-1 tonight against the Bearcats. And now is that pressure from the Bearcats that we expected to see earlier. they were getting some turnovers in the half-court offense early on in this game, and now maybe they're going to go the rest of the way, ratcheting up the pressure here in the full court.
I know your team looks a lot different without Gates in the lineup, but you know, why wait till you're down 21 points to instill the press? And you've got to play with a more sense of being in a rush.
Wanamaker missed a three, then Brown missed one, and Wilkes gets the second rebound for Cincinnati. Well, it's interesting, you know, Notre Dame had that victory over the Panthers. Their lone Big East defeat as Wilkes inside is fouled, and he'll go to the free throw line to shoot a pair. The Panthers held to a limited amount of field goal attempts. Notre Dame slowing things down offensively. So I think a lot of people thought, gee, I wonder if we can play that way and beat the Panthers. But Notre Dame also shot extremely well. You can find yourself out of a game like that, too, especially the way that the Panthers rebound. So, you know, I don't know, Cincinnati's been trying to slow things down, but they need to speed things up, I would imagine, Brooke, down 21 in this game.
Absolutely. And, you know, Mick Cronin talked about how Pitt is a rhythm team and that we'll try to slow them down. But, you know, as we saw over halftime, the difference in defense, Pitt has been able to get into the middle of the floor. And when you can get in the middle of the floor, you cause the other guys to have to collapse on defense. It opens shots up for Ashton Gibbs. It opens bounce passes up on the interior for Gary McGee and Talib Zanna. And Pitt has caused turnovers on Cincinnati's end and turned those into points. So really, Pitt's taken the aggressive role and turning those turnovers into points very quickly.
So Zanna checking in for Robinson, and now Justin Jackson with 3 personal fouls will check in for Darnell Wilkes, who also, by the way, has 3 personal fouls. Foul trouble's an issue, perhaps, for the Bearcats, who are trailing now by 19, 46-27. Brad Wanamaker going to be called for the travel. When you're down this big in a game, there has to be some sense of patience. Jamie Dixon not happy with that turnover. You can't get all 21 points back at once, you know?
Nope, and you always have to play really in 4-minute segments or 5-minute segments, and that's something a lot of coaches address. Just chip away one instance at a time, but tonight it's been all Pitt. They've been too strong on the defensive end. Cincinnati has not capitalized on the inside. They've had plenty of chances to score. They're just turning the ball over and trying to make one pass too many once they get in close.
Another offensive rebound has gotten a fresh opportunity. Larry Davis is shot off the mark. And Bishop another offensive rebound, and this one no good as well. And battled for, and it's Wanamaker tumbling to the ground who comes up with it. And there's going to be a foul call on the Bearcats. It's Ibrahima Thomas who will get whistled for the foul.
And this offensive struggle has not been new for Cincinnati. They've had a lot of droughts this season. You know, they lose by 1 at Louisville, but they went 8 minutes and 20 seconds without a field goal. They tend to struggle on the road a lot more, finding themselves in anywhere from 4 to 8 minute droughts, and it's really hard to win any kind of game, especially on the road, if you can't score for minutes at a time.
And again, we talked about the job Mick Cronin has done, taking over a program in which he had 1 scholarship player, and he's won more in each subsequent season than the one preceding it. It looks like that's going to happen again this year, so doing a nice job. And he does have a very good recruiting class coming in next year, so maybe some of that offensive production will find an uptick with more talented players coming into the system.
He was really happy with being able to sign 5 guys early. He said he's looking for 1 more, another big guy to add to this team. A lot of athleticism on this team. They're not quite organized enough on the offensive end to get the points. I love their defense. I love their energy. But you watch them play, and there's a lot of unorganized basketball that goes on for minutes at a time.
Justin Jackson with a strip there. The lead remaining at 19. Cincinnati trying to chip away here. .12 on the shot clock as Bishop looks for some help. There's Larry Davis now. 8 in the shot clock. Davis kicks. Jackson now. Shot clock winding down. Shot is off the mark, and Zanna pulls it down as the buzzer sounded for the shot clock. Gibbs skips ahead to Wanamaker. Inside to McGee. McGee powering his way inside. Missed it. Zanna there for the follow. He couldn't get it to go. Rebound to Thomas.
Seen a lot of possessions tonight for Cincinnati, just playing one-on-one basketball. You know, one guy trying to do all the work. At least you got a ball screen here, but after that, a lot of guys standing around, nobody making themselves real big in the post. to try and make something happen.
And again, that might be, this might be the time of the game where you'd be trying to feed Yancey Gates inside, but violation of team rules, not playing in tonight's game. A whistle on the Panthers, so Ibrahima Thomas will keep it alive for the Bearcats. We're going to take a look at the week ahead in the Big East Conference. Always big around the Big East. That's when we return after this.
Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena.
Think about the players who have played here, the games that have been won here. There just isn't any other place like it.
You can go back through, decades now of history and tradition.
We walked in, and I could remember back when I was a player, and we played here.
It's a thrill to take the court in Madison Square Garden, in New York, in the Mecca of basketball.
It's the one place that I think every player around the country will tell you, I want to play in the Garden.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance? What, do you live under a rock?
No way.
Hey, Rick, check this out.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
What you call the greatest day of your life,
I'll be right back.
we call Tuesday. Caesars Atlantic City, routinely spectacular.
Take a look at the Big East week ahead, and in the Big East, every week is a great week. The Irish looking to stay perfect at home, taking on Louisville. Will Preston Knowles be back in that game for the Cardinals? That game on ESPNU Wednesday at 7 p.m. The Hoyas will look to continue their 6-game winning streak. They visit Syracuse, perhaps the rivalry steeped in the most tradition in the Big East Conference. And then the Panthers invading Villanova, a top 15 and Pennsylvania battle Saturday at 9 p.m. on ESPN. That's where game day is going to be headed. And any time in the state of Pennsylvania, the city of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh are represented. A lot on the line.
Yep, and then Panthers take on West Virginia not too much longer from here. And, every time Big East basketball is on TV, I'm trying to sit in front of the couch and watch because you really never know. I mean, you talk about Georgetown, and early in Big East play, we saw them lose, 3 or 4 in a row. John Thompson III, not worried in the least when I talked to him before the St. John's game, and you see how they've responded. It just takes time for the 3 guys that play up front for them, their top 3 guards, to hit some shots, and now they're starting to put the wheels into motion. And you always look at the top half of the Big East standings, and it literally changes throughout the course of the season 5 or 6 times and who you expect to get in the top half of those Big East seedings.
And Thomas hits the second of 2 free throws, lead down to 18 as Biggie McLean will check back into the game for Thomas. Cincinnati showing some pressure here. We talked about the importance of all these games, not just at the top of the conference, but teams like Cincinnati and Marquette and St. John's trying to prove that the Big East deserves more than the 8 teams that it seems that there'll be a lock that they'll get into the NCAA tournament. Will it be 9, 10, even an unprecedented number like 11? As J.J. Richardson's whistled for a foul. So Cincinnati doing what they can to try to chip away. The lead was 21, or 23. They've knocked it down to 18 here. Now another chance to cut into the lead.
And they're going to call the foul on the shoulder there from Richardson, trying to come off the screen. Gave him a little extra oomph coming off that pick.
J.J. Richardson, boy, an opportunity to see expanded minutes, but foul trouble has really hurt him. His 3rd personal. Nazir Robinson also has 3 personal fouls for the Pitt Panthers. Meanwhile, Jackson, Wilkes, and Thomas 3 fouls each for Cincinnati.
Richardson going to the bench. He's a guy the Pitt assistant coaches feel like is an underrated player and was a good find. He'll have to sit on the bench for a while. Cincinnati still fighting.
And it's Justin Jackson who gets into the lane, scores, cuts the lead to 16, and has a chance to cut it to 15 with a free throw.
Well, it's a good idea just to keep attacking, to try and find the middle of the floor. But the one decision they make that they haven't been making is to take the shot as soon as you've got it. You're still a few feet away from the basket. Instead of trying to make the extra pass that has led to a lot of turnovers tonight, Jackson just puts it up, gets the foul in the end, one opportunity.
7-0 run has cut a 23-point lead down to 16. Run going to remain right there for now as that free throw well off the mark. McGee with a rebound. And if you're the Panthers, you have to stay in attack mode here, don't you, Brooke?
You absolutely do, and you got to be aware that they're still trying to find ways to get to the middle of the floor. And gets the shot has not worked all night for Gary McGee. So maybe at this point you really pressure the guards and try and force the ball into the hands of McGee, and if he gets it and shoots it, make sure you put a body on everybody to box him out and keep him off the offensive glass.
Well, they say comebacks begin with defense, and 7 straight empty possessions for the Panthers. Their 23-point lead down to 16. Jackson spinning in trouble and then took one step too many. We're at the midway point this year, and BigEast.org is your vote to vote for Player of the Year candidates and best games of the year. It's all on BigEast.org. So the lead is at 16 right now, under 14 minutes remaining, and the Bearcats showing pressure here as Wanamaker checks out of the game for the Panthers. Woodall, a very good ball handler, will check in, and now Sean Kilpatrick in for the Bearcats for Rashad Bishop.
Well, you talk about Big East Player of the Year candidates. I mean, preseason is Austin Freeman. Was struggling for a bit. Now he's really starting to come back strong. I thought maybe Kemba Walker would take over that position. Now he's starting to struggle. But right now, I think you've got to take a look at Ashton Gibbs, especially with the kind of game that he's having tonight. You know, the one thing that hurts him, he's only scored 16 a game, but this is with the number 4 team in the country. And Pitt's got a lot of good players that don't get a lot of personal recognition. But still such a strong team, and I'm sure they all would have it that way versus having individual accolades.
Brown shot well off the mark, but Zana snaps a 7-0 run and scores for the Panthers, and their lead back up to 18. I wonder, it's like a team having 2 good MVP candidates, whether they would split the vote maybe with Wanamaker and Gibbs.
Well, I really like Wanamaker, and like I said before, if he's averaging 17, you're talking about putting him in a lot higher position. How about the block by McGee?
And on the other end, running the floor.
You gotta love the fire from Jamie Dixon, still sending his guys down with energy. Tell him to get the stops on defense.
Lead back up to 20 off the knee of Sean Kilpatrick.
Just the timing and elevation by McGee, but this is what I love. Hustles down the floor, reward your big man. Let him dunk it for you, get this crowd riled up.
Well, this city is hoping that the Steelers' defense will earn them a 7th Super Bowl title. Of course, the Steel Curtain Super Bowl defense is in the 70s. This town loves defense, and they love the Panthers' defense, forcing 12 turnovers tonight. John on the pump fake, and how hard as he goes to the basket. And Mick Cronin talked about that ball fake for the Panthers, and even with a guy like Zana, not just the guards, the big men for the Panthers able to do that as well.
Well, it's only been a few years since Zana has picked up a basketball. So let's start with that. A freshman, a very talented player, comes over from Nigeria, moved here in 2006. Loved the way he conditioned himself when he was in Africa, ran up and down the mountains, just really created his own conditioning regimen. And this is a guy who's got a big upside ahead of him. And Gary Williams from Maryland said he's the kind of guy who does all the dirty work that some guys don't want to do. Zana had 14 points and 12 rebounds against Maryland in the early season win for Pitt.
Ibrahima Thomas, who, by the way, is from Senegal, is sitting on the bench with his 4th personal foul. Biggie McLean checks in, as well as Jaquan Parker, 6'3", 210-pound sophomore. Zana missed them both. Kashmir Wright, the rebound for the Bearcats. Larry Davis, 3-point attempt, well off the mark. Rebound to Jaquan Parker. And Jaquan Parker, only 6'3", but Mick Cronin saying really, really tough. Very good rebounder for his size, and pulled down a board there. Nice leave inside for McLean, stripped away by Woodall, but they're going to call Woodall on the personal foul.
It looked like McLean got away with shuffling his feet once he caught the ball.
I agree. Yeah, and said he's going to go to the free throw line. And he showed a nice touch. As we mentioned, 7'1", close to 300 pounds. Really has a nice delivery from the free throw line.
He does, and he had a big first half in their win over St. John's. And he will give you great minutes off the bench. You know, as big as he is, some nights it might be 2 minutes, some nights it might be 12 to 15. But a big guy, and he's been a good help tonight. You know, without Yancey Gates, it makes it a lot tougher to try and guard the bigs from Pitt.
Leads at 20. And McLean hits the second. 4 for 6 from the free throw line for McLean tonight. J.J. Richardson's checked in, the freshman, inbounds to Gibbs. Cincinnati showing pressure this time. Moore in trouble. Turnover. Larry Davis, and Davis will throw it down.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what we should have seen in the first half.
Lead is at 17. Cincinnati trying to cause some turnovers here. Get one off that pressure, and now the Panthers able to get it across the timeline and into their half-court offense. .15 in the shot clock. Trayvon Woodall into the middle of the floor. Beautiful little floating finger roll.
And that's where a guy like Biggie McLean has got to step up and stop Woodall in his tracks. I mean, you'll see that out of Zana, you'll see that out of McGee. And that's the difference between a good Cincinnati defensive team and a great defensive team from Pitt.
.15 in the shot clock. And going to be a foul call over in the corner. The lead is at 19 for the Panthers. It starts on the defensive end from Gary McGee, the big block. On the other end, the strong finish on the feed from Gibbs. McGee and the Panthers up by 19.
Want a better way to track what you spend? PNC Virtual Wallet now comes with Spending Zone. It organizes all your spending, including your PNC debit card, credit card, and your bills, so you can view them by category or by month. You can set a budget, and it'll even alert you when you're getting close to the amount you've set and when you've gone over. Spending Zone is built to help you keep better track of your spending. Experience everything Virtual Wallet has to offer at pncvirtualwallet.com. PNC, for the achiever in us all.
Attention computer shoppers with past credit problems. If you've had past credit problems and want to make a change, call now. All you need is an active checking account and you're approved for our program. Bankruptcy, liens, divorce, or job loss, it doesn't matter. You're approved. We'll get you that new computer you always wanted and report on your credit so you can start to get it back on track. Call now and with your paid order, we'll add a free color printer, free MP3 music player, and a free LCD TV. You heard right. Free printer, free MP3 player, and a free LCD TV. Call now and tell us where you want your brand new computer and free gift shipped today.
At Samuel Adams, we get inspiration for our seasonal beers from all over the world.
For us, spring seasonal, we make Samuel Adams Noble Pilsner. It's our take on a classic Bohemian Pilsner.
And we found the traditional heirloom malt.
Laid out and turned daily by hand. Produces a lot more flavor.
Our twist with this beer is using all 5 noble hops.
4 hops from Bavaria and 1 from Bohemia.
We get a very bright, hoppy note with a clean finish.
It's got a lot of flavor.
And refreshing.
It makes you look forward to the warmer days of spring. But Sam Adams Noble Pils will be gone before you know it.
Big East Basketball on SNY. Join Gary Apple, Norm Roberts, and Tim Welsh for all your post-game highlights and analysis. Plus, all the latest conference updates and news on Samuel Adams Postgame. Up next on SNY.
Come visit us nysportspost.com. In the computer, visit our store.
In the computer?
Yes, in the computer. nysportspost.com.
The computer?
Yes, in the computer.
Fourth-ranked Pitt Panthers leading the Cincinnati Bearcats 52-33. Former Southern Conference Player of the Year, Brooke Weisbrod, going to take us inside the play. Brooke.
Oh, this is a great pressure defense from Cincinnati, and unfortunately for the Bearcats, we haven't seen it a lot, but in the second half, J.J. Moore picks up his dribble near half court, something you don't want to do. The young freshman picks it up. You've got the baseline and the sideline to act as extra defenders. And Cincinnati able to slap the ball in the hands away from Moore, and this is the kind of finish that I would like to see more from Cincinnati. A little more energy, and throw it down with the dunk, set back up in that pressure D, and start to get the momentum build if you're the Bearcats.
Mick Cronin's team coming into this game in search of a signature win. You take a look at their defense, the best in the country, and the best in the Big East and 6th in the country. Stephen F. Austin averaging defensively less than 54 points per game. So Mick Cronin's team has been very good defensively, but the Panthers have found their ways to score here tonight.
Well, I watched Cincinnati's game against West Virginia, and I know Mick Cronin didn't feel like they played very well. In fact, he called it their worst game of the season. But I thought that they came out with a lot of attitude, and they played a very physical game. And I was curious to see if they were going to bring that in to the arena tonight, and the answer has been no.
By the way, my apologies. I'm looking across the floor at a former Southern Conference Player of the Year, Dick Grote. You're the Big South Conference Player of the Year. Of course, Dick Grote playing at Duke prior to their membership in the ACC, the Southern Conference, Big South Conference. I beg your pardon, Brooke?
It's close enough, you know?
No, it's not close enough.
It's 10 years past, so it doesn't matter anymore. I'm retired.
3 letters at 3 different sports.
That's
in
right.
Coastal Carolina. Very impressive.
Yes.
Wilkes misses the free throw. Rebound pulled down by Gary McGee. And again, our top storylines tonight. Who's missing tonight? Yancey Gates for Cincinnati, their star center, and for the Panthers, Dante Taylor nursing an injury, and Lamar Patterson, both Patterson and Yancey Gates being disciplined by their schools. So a big starter out of the Bearcats lineup, some depth out of the Panthers lineup, and so far it looks like Cincinnati been affected the most by the loss of their player.
You know, a big loss for Cincinnati too, because really as Gates goes, Cincinnati goes. You talk about one of their signature wins, that crosstown shootout against Xavier. He had 22 points and 14 rebounds. He's got a real wide body. He's got a nice half hook shot that's basically unguardable. And when you look at the difference in the game, you know, Yancey Gates gives you about 11 a game, but in a game like tonight, those 11 really extend to a lot more when you take away his defense and just his presence in the lane.
Ashton Gibbs 23 points now, and that is 1 behind his season high, just 2 short of his career high of 25 points. And Larry Davis, leading scorer for the Bearcats tonight, he has 13. He hits that jump shot. Brad Wanamaker wants his team to disperse, wants a little room to bring it up himself. Finds Talib Zana to break the pressure.
Wanamaker's a great option to use as either a 1 or a 2. Nice stroke from the 3, creates a lot of shots off the dribble. A lot of times, he's the guy to come off the screens and set up plays for either Gibbs, and a great look into Zana, but couldn't finish.
Wilkes, a terrific block on Zana. Davis back the other way. Shot too strong, Moore the rebound. When the Bearcats want to get into this pressure, but when you only have 35 points, you don't have enough points to get into it as much as I'm sure that Mick Cronin would like. Once again, contact and batted out of bounds as Gary McGee tried to take it to the basket. No whistle called. And it's going to be Panthers basketball. 9:37 remaining in the second half and 23 seconds on the shot clock as Rashad Bishop checks in for the Bearcats and Nasir Robinson for the Panthers.
When you can play great team defense, I don't care who you're playing, you can keep yourself in the ball game. But Cincinnati has not kept Pitt out of the middle of the floor. It just right here, I mean, look at how deep Nasir Robinson's able to get. And Cincinnati able to come up with the rebound. But when you add that on to letting Pitt come in the middle, really score, get the transition points, and then the kind of drought that Cincinnati has had tonight, there's just really no chance for the Bearcats even to compete.
Right shot off the mark. Here's Gibbs ahead to Wanamaker. The lob to J.J. Richardson. Jamie Dixon wants a timeout. J.J. Moore, I beg your pardon, finishes there, and Jamie Dixon calls a timeout with his team up 21.
Fantastic setup man is Wanamaker. This is what he lives for. He loves to set up that alley-oop. And a lot of athletic guys. J.J. Moore, one of them, a 6'6" freshman out of Brentwood, New York. They call him Twin. He looks like Gilbert Brown. He's got a 37-inch vert to follow. Won the throwdown, showdown, dunk contest. Took off from the free throw line, Rob. He cleared 3 managers on his way to throwing it down.
And let's take a look at the Big East Panthers record at 8-1 in Big East play. Ties the best start in team history. 03, 04, and 06, 07. They started with those marks. The Panthers 20-2 heading into tonight's game. And Jamie Dixon has done a nice job of adding to that. The legacy began as an assistant coach under Ben Howland here for the Panthers, has taken the program to new heights. Ashton Gibbs has been a star player, and the players seem to develop. They don't come in as highly touted players necessarily, but a guy like J.J. Moore, who you mentioned, playing somewhat sparingly as a freshman, but guy maybe he's going to follow the Gilbert Brown career path.
And you've got a lot of chances to get better when you go up against some of the best guys in the country, night in and night out. And I love how Dixon looks for guys who are self-starters, not established All-Americans, but guys who want to work for that kind of status once they get here.
Another thing he likes is getting guys from winning programs that know that it's not always about how many points you score, it's about how many wins you get as a team. So a lot of players that won championships in high school and come from winning programs. Nice back down move and score there by Biggie McClain. And another thing you talk about night in and night out improving in the Big East, but the Panthers are traditionally so deep. They get a great amount of improvement in practice going against each other. As Moore's three-pointer off the mark.
And the practices are intense. We saw in shoot-around today just how involved everybody is. Jamie Dixon standing at the middle of the floor, directing orders on one side and the other. Very controlled, very organized shoot-around. And you see where discipline can get you. I mean, they're not number 4 team in the country for nothing.
And number 4, yeah, and the comment, do it right, again and again and again. Do it right, do it right, do it right, during all the drills.
Well, it takes discipline and it takes accountability. And one of the best in the game to do that is actually on the women's side, and what Gino Ariema has done at Connecticut.
Monsieur Robinson fouled as he tries to take it to the basket. The Panthers lead for head coach Jamie Dixon at 19 here at the Peterson Event Center.
It wouldn't be Valentine's Day without a heart-shaped box of chocolates.
I love to get chocolates, especially on Valentine's.
Men should go with the heart-shaped box at Valentine's Day.
Don't give her just any chocolates. Give her Russell Stover chocolates with the famous Russell Stover bow.
There's nothing in basketball like the Big East tournament in New York City.
It builds and builds and builds, and the energy within the city itself.
The bustling of the streets of New York City, there's nothing like it in the world.
You know you're playing in a special place from the time you drive up.
When you walk into the building and you get on that freight elevator, you get goosebumps.
Really, the crowd, the atmosphere, there's nothing like playing in the Garden.
The Big East is the Garden and is New York City.
Is in the house. As the official pizza sponsor of Super Bowl 45, Papa John's is giving you all large pizzas for just $10. Plus, order Super Bowl Sunday and you could win free pizza. Go to the new papajohns.com for details.
Now's the time to recarpet your entire house. It's Empire's whole house sale. Buy 2 rooms of carpet and get the rest of your rooms free. We're talking whole house. Shop at home for leading brands like Shaw and Stainmaster. Get professional installation, even next day. And right now, buy 2 rooms and get the rest free with no interest for a year. Don't miss our whole house sale. Buy 2 rooms, get the rest free.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. What's inside this bottle is the solution to better immunity this winter. Clinically proven Sambucol has the power of 1,000 black elderberries in every bottle to strengthen your immune system so you can stay well this winter. So if you don't want to catch it, Sambucol it. Don't want to be sick in bed? Sambucol it. Don't have time to be sick? Sambucol it. Boost your immunity and get better sooner. Sambucol it.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
A lot of thoughts in Pittsburgh on the Super Bowl tomorrow in Dallas, but this fan thinking about Houston, Texas, and a possible Final Four appearance for the 4th-ranked Pitt Panthers. Rob King alongside former Coastal Carolina star Brooke Weisbrod. And Brooke, when you take a look at the Pitt Panthers and their Final Four hopes, a lot of them rest with Brad Wanamaker, just the kind of guy you were talking about that develops under Jamie Dixon's program and has a unique blend of skills.
He made a comment earlier in the season about how he's been under the radar his whole life. He's got no problem with that. This is a guy who learned how to play on the courts of Philadelphia, and just a great stroke, but really gives you anything you want. You want defense, Wanamaker will get you a steal. He's a tremendous passer, gives you those hustle plays to follow up. And how about some acrobatics from Mr. Wanamaker too tonight? Just a great guard and somebody who I think should be involved in discussions when you talk about guys for your All-American team. When you talk about Big East first all team. He didn't get any Big East honors in the preseason. Jamie Dixon wondered why, but I think he's starting to make a case for it as you look later in the season.
A lot of folks would like to have an identical player to Brad Wanamaker, as an identical twin, Brian, down at Texas Wesleyan. And Wanamaker really a unique player, as Robinson uniquely makes that free throw, banking it home. But to lead his team in assists from the two-guard position, a great rebounder. You know, we've seen enough of him, Brooke. He's the guy that is patient, who lets the game come to him, doesn't try to rush things or force things, and you look up at the end of the night and he's had another big night, sometimes quietly.
He's had a lot of nights with 8 or 9 assists, 5 steals. He's looking to become the only other player besides Carl Krauser here to have 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, and 400 assists for his career. And when you look at the success of the Pitt Panthers, a lot of it rests on guys who can shoot like Ashton Gibbs, guys who can play defense like Gary McGee. But Brad Wanamaker is the playmaker for this team.
Trayvon Woodall has checked into the game to Wanamaker. 12 on the shot clock. Woodall kicking to Wanamaker. Into Robinson, surrounded. And Robinson will have to do it on his own, and scores just before the shot clock expires over Jaquan Parker.
And great patience by Robinson. He could have tried to force the issue amongst Cincinnati bigs, but instead he looked for his option, moved a little more with his feet right in the lane, and got the shot off the glass. That was a pretty move by Nasir Robinson.
Lead is 22. The Panthers, a late surge at the end of the first half, extended the lead to 17. Got it up as high as 23, and have really kept the Bearcats at bay throughout this entire second half. They're not allowed a strong run at them. Parker shot off the mark. McLean follows, and he's fouled inside. That's going to be a 4th on J.J. Richardson. Well, today's Big East game is being produced and distributed by ESPN Regional Television Incorporated. Biggie McLean, who's done a nice job filling in for Yancey Gates. Richardson has to go back to the Panthers bench with his 4th personal foul. McGee checks back in. We mentioned Richardson picking up his 4th personal as McLean goes to the free throw line. And Biggie's done a nice job, and Mick Cronin talked about him filling in for Yancey Gates earlier today.
Call him the gentle giant, Biggie McLean, at 7 foot, but really 7'1". 50 pounds over the summer, put a lot of time into the gym, getting stronger. He's a big body. You're not much of an enforcer on the offensive end, but a guy who can give you a lot of strength down low, trying to substitute for a guy like Gates. You know, you're losing 6'9", 265 pounds, and a lot of offense and defense. Somebody's got to make up for it. Nice
play by Justin Jackson. Kept it alive on the inbound play. Then the ESPN Top 100 player a year ago. Freshman, a nice finish there. He's a guy getting acclimated to Big East Conference play. We talk about some of the recruits coming in, but don't forget Jackson, a top 100 player a season ago. As Wanamaker gets called for the travel, so I'm sure they're expecting bigger things from him after a year through the rigors of Big East Conference play.
Definitely. They talk about what kind of upside this guy has. It's tremendous upside when he can put it all together. He's got the potential to be a special player. But one of the things that stood out to me was a little bit too much emotion, getting wrapped up in the calls. If his teammates make a mistake, he's got to learn how to settle down and use that emotion in a positive way.
And Gibbs will check back in for Brad Wanamaker. The Bearcats down 18, inbounding underneath their own basket. Kashmir Wright set to trigger the inbound. And Kilpatrick shot off the mark. Missed the rebound. Another offensive rebound for the Bearcats inside, and Biggie McLean finishes over Gary McGee. Well, the Bearcats have done an outstanding job offensive rebounding. They just have not been able to convert many chances. It's not often you see the Panthers giving up this many offensive rebounds.
Yeah, 18 so far for the Bearcats. And only 8 second chance points. So you're right, Rob. Just, a lot of opportunities to stay in this game.
Gibbs shot off the mark. A rare miss for him. As McGee keeping it alive. And the battle inside, and the personal foul is going to be on Jackson, and that's going to be his 4th personal foul. And a 6th-team foul for the Bearcats, so 1 more before the Panthers are awarded with a bonus. Ibrahim Thomas will trot into the game for Biggie McLean. Lead is at 16. Trayvon Woodall will inbound for the Panthers. Stripped away, but comes back to Brown. Brown kicks back to Woodall. Panthers will reset. Gibbs, nice move inside, no good. McGee the rebound.
McGee is so good at anticipating when that ball is going to come off the glass. He's so strong, but you got to give him a lot of credit for his athleticism. He jumps very quickly and can read it very well.
Shot clock down to 10. Gilbert Brown the move, spinning back the other way off glass. Gilbert Brown, what a move.
Probably the guy who has improved the most from his junior to senior year for Pittsburgh. Gilbert Brown has become another huge offensive weapon and so athletic. It was a great spin move to get open.
Thomas gets the easy layup. And Brown's a guy that a lot of Panther fans think of as a wild card. If he can give them consistent offense to go with Wanamaker and Gibbs, they're thinking the Panthers could have a deep run in the NCAA tournament. Gibbs, the head fake, tried to go to McGee, batted away. Here's Kilpatrick back the other way for the Bearcats. Tries to go to work on Woodall, and boy, nice shot by Sean Kilpatrick. And the lead down to 14, and Jamie Dixon wants a timeout. Bearcats making a little bit of a run here.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more out of Sean Kilpatrick tonight. He's a guy who comes off the bench for the Bearcats. And Mick Cronin says he's a guy who can score 10 points just by getting out of bed in the morning. And Sean Kilpatrick, just a freshman, but a very talented shooter. He had a game-high 18, shot 6 of 10 in one of their wins over USF. And Cincinnati, again, just climbing their way, trying to make a case for themselves to get into the NCAA tournament. No bad losses. A good win against Xavier and at St. John's, who's playing some hot basketball right now. I think, though, they still need one signature win against a ranked team at least, if not a good run in the Big East tournament.
RPI is 39th, and again, don't forget a lot of teams that are not going to have top 50 RPIs are going to get in by dint of winning their conference championship. So Mick Cronin talked about the importance of an NCAA berth, got to the NITs last year, advanced to the 2nd round, lost to Dayton, avenged that loss earlier by whipping up on Dayton earlier this season. But boy, I'd really like to push this team into the NCAA tournament.
And a big change came in the offseason when they talked about chemistry. They wanted to come in this season with an attitude change, start to hang out with each other, and that's been a big reason for a part of their early season success.
There's Kilpatrick with a steal, and he's fouled by Wanamaker, and so the Bearcats beginning to make things interesting, down by 14, a chance to cut into that when we return from the Peterson Event Center.
Want a better way to track what you spend? PNC Virtual Wallet now comes with Spending Zone. It organizes all your spending, including your PNC debit card, credit card, and your bills, so you can view them by category or by month. You can set a budget, and it'll even alert you when you're getting close to the amount you've set and when you've gone over. Spending Zone is built to help you keep better track of your spending. Experience everything Virtual Wallet has to offer at pncvirtualwallet.com. PNC, for the achiever in us all.
Enjoy a complete seafood dinner for 2 for just $29.99 at Red Lobster, with fresh salads and biscuits, your choice of entrees, and an appetizer or a dessert to share for a limited time at Red Lobster.
what you call the greatest day of your life,
I'll be right back.
we call Tuesday. Caesars Atlantic City, routinely spectacular.
Tonight's Big East game has been brought to you by PNC for the achiever in us all. And by Papa John's. Get free pizza on Super Bowl Sunday. Go to papajohns.com for details. The lead's been as high as 23, and Pitt has really kept Cincinnati at arm's length throughout the second half. And suddenly, Brooke Weiss put a little surge here by the Bearcats. I don't know if it's going to be too little too late, but they've cranked up the intensity a little bit and cut into this lead.
Well, that's a lot of ground to make up, but you're doing the right thing if you're attacking the basket, stopping the clock and getting yourself to the free throw line. And Cincinnati has not done a great job tonight from the free throw line, shooting just 7 of 13, 53%.
And Kilpatrick makes the first. Talented freshman, redshirt freshman. Still learning some of the nuances of the defensive game in the Big East, but a very talented offensive player. 68% free throw shooter.
A lot of talk about this guy becoming a starter, but Mick Cronin really needs his energy and his scoring to come off the bench. And he needs any kind of scoring tonight. Cincinnati just really unable to put any kind of points on the board.
The lead down to 12 now. Pressure effective here for the Bearcats. Really selling out now for the pressure. Swatted away, and boy, a near turnover, and instead it's going to be the 5th personal foul for the freshman Justin Jackson. Boy, ball was loose, and you can see the frustration there. He thought he should have come up with it, and instead the personal foul.
Well, you play great effective press. You keep the ball out of the middle of the floor. And you get a hold on it, but you hate getting called for that foul. Justin Jackson just a little too over-aggressive. You know, Mick Cronin talked about trying to keep him out of foul trouble. A great player, big upside to this guy. Again, once he puts it all together, I think he's got the ability to become a special player. And you look at a lot of guys in the Cincinnati lineup, and you feel the same way. I mean, Sean Kilpatrick, Justin Jackson, another young guy. Yancey Gates has another year ahead of him. And Cashmere Wright, your sophomore point guard.
So Jackson fouls out of the game. And Brad Wanamaker will go to the free throw line, shooting 1 and 1. Wanamaker is 74% free throw shooter. And it's too strong. And the rebound is Cincinnati, so a chance to get this lead down to 10 or perhaps 9. Cincinnati on a 12-2 run currently. Bishop looking for help. Wright will reset the offense. Nearing the 3-minute mark. Cashmere Wright, left-handed shot, gets it to go in. And Mick Cronin wants a timeout, and the lead is down to 10, 61-51. A 14-2 Cincinnati run.
Well, I was going to criticize Cashmere Wright for not allowing this screen to get set up for McLean, but he really takes matters into his own hands and catches Gary McGee looking at the cutter instead of playing help side defense. And that's about as deep in the lane as you've seen Cincinnati been able to get all night long.
Now, if you have a big lead like the Panthers have had, 23 points, it gets down to 10, the other team starting to get a little energy. What does it do for your team? I mean, I'm not saying you've been sleepwalking, but you know, the other team seems to have a little momentum right now.
Well, Pitt has been coming off some offensive struggles the last few games, and I think right now what Jamie Dixon is addressing with his team is intensity. I mean, they've been the better team throughout the entire portion of this game, and once they've taken their foot a little bit off the gas pedal, Cincinnati has recognized that and gotten the turnovers and gotten the buckets, and now you really see basically the starters in for Pitt to try and close this game out.
Including their best free throw shooters and ball handlers, really a three-guard attack here with Gilbert Brown, an excellent free throw shooter and ball handler as well. Gibbs able to dribble up and break the pressure. Now Woodall will handle the point guard duties. Woodall will try the long three-pointer shot, no good, and McGee soaring for the rebound, so Gary McGee, a clutch offensive rebound for the Panthers. And he's fouled and will have a chance now to get to the free throw line. And the 9th personal foul committed by the Cincinnati Bearcats. It'll be a 1-and-1 for Gary McGee. Thomas will check into the game for McLean for the Bearcats. McGee just a 48% free throw shooter. Wanamaker just moments ago missed the front end of a 1-on-1. McGee shot well off the mark and batted out of bounds by Wanamaker, so the Panthers letting some points slip away by missing the front end of 1-on-1s. The last lead that was not double figures for the Panthers was back at 29-20 in the first half. Jamie Dixon now having a discussion with the officials. Evidently thought that ball was off Cincinnati. Well, the Bearcats with a late charge here. Three-pointer on the way. No good. Rebound to Wanamaker, hit by Wilkes. Boy, an awfully good look there for the freshman, Sean Kilpatrick.
I think that's a good look, but I don't think that's the right shot to take. You had Thomas rushing down the lane. He was wide open, but you know, if you're that open, you do got to pull the trigger. And Sean Kilpatrick, a 40% three-point shooter. You know, could have taken one or two dribbles actually into the paint and shot the jump shot.
So the lead at 10 is Wanamaker. Now in the 9th personal foul committed by the Bearcats, 1-and-1. So next foul will be the double bonus, and missed again 3 times. The Panthers have missed the front end of 1-and-1s. So potentially 6 points left by the wayside. Wilkes, the jab step, tries to go inside, a wild shot, got it back, blocked from behind by McGee, who pulls down the rebound. He's fouled by Wilkes, and that will be his 5th.
Now this play starts by the defense of McGee. He hedges real high on the screen, gets his hands up, contests one shot, and never quits on the play. Now he's your 5th scoring option on offense, but look how high he gets up on defense. Just really sticking around with the play, not fouling, playing good, solid defense. And Jamie Dixon talked about that in the shoot-around. Keep your hands up, stay with the play, don't foul, don't bail them out.
And keep in mind, again, that's McGee off the switch. Normally would be guarding the 6'11 Thomas, going head-to-head with a much smaller player, the 6'7", 205-pound Wilkes.
Well, they got to recognize when they go to come off those ball screens, they're not staying very patient, and Pitt is really jumping the gun, trying to make sure they keep it out of the middle of the floor. But that allows for your big guys like Thomas to slide down, and if you can get that lob pass there somehow over the outreached arms of Gary McGee, you've got an easy basket.
McGee will shoot 2 now. Double bonus the rest of the way for the Panthers, and he hits the first. Well, the Panthers, after missing 3 consecutive front ends of 1-and-1s, gets the first one here from McGee. Lead back up to 11. McGee's second free throw is good as well. Lead is up to 12, 63-51. Kashmir Wright trying to save as much clock as possible on the inbound, letting it roll forward. Now in trouble to Davis. Inside to Thomas. Thomas the pump fake. Tries to go up on McGee. McGee wrestles for it, out of bounds on Gary McGee. Boy, what strength inside by Gary McGee.
And he can allow for a lot more spacing into Thomas, because he knows once Thomas gets the ball, when McGee shifts over, he's got a lot more strength to really keep Thomas away from making an easy basket.
Inbound to Davis. Hands back to Wright. Crossover dribble, the fadeaway, fouled, and it bounces out. So Kashmir Wright will get a chance to shoot a couple of free throws here, and a chance to score points with no time coming off the clock. 1:58 remaining. Wright, a 74% free throw shooter, 82% in his last 19 games. Got off to a wretched start at the line, but has been terrific at the free throw line over the past 19. And he hits the first, lead back down to 11. Jaquan Parker checking in as we take a look at our PNC Big East leaders. Scoring defense, 1 and 2, Cincinnati and Pitt heading into tonight's game.
We got to give the edge to Pittsburgh for really keeping Cincinnati out of the middle of the floor, getting the rebounds. And a guy who's been awfully quiet tonight, Kashmir Wright, just 2 points. You know, he's a scoring point guard, and he had a great first half against West Virginia when he was looking for his shot. And he's been awful quiet tonight.
Batted and picked off by Wright and fouled by Brad Wanamaker. So once again, the Panthers stopping the clock, and the Bearcats a chance to score points without any more time coming off that clock, as these last 4 minutes, I'm sure for Jamie Dixon, seem like an eternity right now.
Well, if you're Pitt, you really need to look to tighten things up on both ends of the floor. And again, you're the number 4 team in the country, and you don't necessarily need to put it full force at this point. You're likely to get out of here with the win, but you're practicing for the rest of the Big East season and the postseason at this point, and to allow things to get sloppy is something that is not acceptable under the coaching staff, especially under Jamie Dixon.
Wright missing the first of 2. And double bonus for both teams the rest of the way. By the way, Seton Hall leading UConn at the half, 37-32. Always tough in the Big East Conference. Any win is a quality win in the Big East.
Well, especially since Seton Hall gets Jeremy Hazel back in the lineup. I was there to call his first game back against DePaul. I think he had about 28, but it felt like 42 that night. I mean, he basically single-handedly took DePaul out of that game by himself.
Let's take a look at our Papa John's player of the game, and it is Ashton Gibbs, 23 points, 7 for 11 from the field, 5 for 5 from three-point range, and now a chance with a couple of free throws, if he can make them both, to tie a career high. Has scored 25 twice against Indiana and Providence, both those coming last season. And he hits the first, 24 points, matches a season high. As Ibrahim Thomas will check in for Jaquan Parker for Mick Cronin's Bearcats. Gibbs looking to match a career high with a 25th point with his free throw. And he's able to hit. The Panthers lead back up to 12. Papa John's player of the game, Ashton Gibbs, really set the tone early on in this one, didn't he, Brooke, with the way he was shooting?
Just came out on fire. I mean, there was nothing Cincinnati could do. But what Gibbs does so well is he reads screens. He comes off a staggered screen. 2 big guys down from Pitt. And if you go right behind him, he'll curl, and if you fade, he's going to fade.
Batted out of bounds by Ashton Gibbs. Good pressure right in front of our broadcast position by Davis and Rashad Bishop. They forced the turnover. And Cincinnati not going quietly here, scrapping to the very end. Bishop gives to Kilpatrick. Beautiful move by the freshman, Sean Kilpatrick. Lead down to 10. Mick Cronin uses the timeout. Chance to set up his pressure defense.
And a chance to see just how explosive this young guy is going to be. He takes the ball off the dribble. That's one dribble, and he gets all the way from a three-point line to the opposite side of the block. Just tremendous athleticism from Sean Kilpatrick.
And probably looking, for fans, there's always a segment looking forward to next year and talking about recruiting classes, but very likely to see a 3-guard attack with Kashmir Wright, Deion Dixon, and Sean Kilpatrick. And that's why, you talked about the recruiting class trying to bring in one more big guy to complement Yancey Gates inside. Justin Jackson will be coming back. So the Bearcats getting things moving in the right direction as we take a look at the Big East standings. The Pitt Panthers enjoying a 2-game lead over Notre Dame and Villanova. Of course, we mentioned that game at Villanova coming up later this week, but College Game Day going to be on hand for that clash of top 15 teams. But boy, I mean, you look at how good is a conference when the number 7 team in the country is 5-4 in conference play.
Yeah, makes a big difference, and really you can make an argument for 11 teams to get into the Big East, and the only thing that hurts them is that everybody is so good. Your conference record might not be as strong, but with the conference overall, I really think it makes a good argument to make the case for 11 teams to get in. You got guys every night that can knock off top 25 teams. I mean, how are you going to deny somebody an automatic berth, or an at-large berth, I'm sorry, when you've got so many upsets going on in the Big East?
You like the new format?
I don't mind it, yeah. I mean, I think it makes things a lot more competitive.
Gilbert Brown a chance to shoot a couple of free throws here. 80% free throw shooter on the season. Lead is 10. Just under a minute remaining in the game. And Brown misses the front end. And the Panthers, this game would be 16, 17 points if they were hitting their free throws, but struggling from the free throw line down the stretch. And Brown hits the second to approach his average of 11.5 points per game. Brown now has 11 in the game. Be interesting to see if he can get that half point somewhere down the stretch. The lob into Thomas and the foul by Ashton Gibbs. So boy, again, Cincinnati a chance to score points with no time going off the clock. Hanging around Mick Cronin's team in this last several minutes, trying to get back into this game somehow, some way. Jamie Dixon, looks like his team's going to round out their 21st win and a 9-1 Big East Conference record. Thomas gets the roll.
You talk about Cincinnati extending this game. Just in the last 3 minutes, game time has been almost 15 minutes in real time. So Cincinnati really just trying to do whatever they can to stick around. They've done a great job in climbing back, and Pitt has opened the door by missing free throws and turning the ball over. You know, it might be too little too late for Cincinnati, but you got to credit them for sticking around and being able to try to climb back in this thing.
Thomas, the Oklahoma State transfer, hits them both. And he heads to the bench as Shaquan Parker checks in. The long release pass to Gilbert Brown. Brown will hold it and go back to the trailing Trayvon Woodall, and he's going to be fouled. So the foul fest continues as we take a look at what was going on today in the Big East. Marshawn Brooks, the 5th most points in Big East history for Providence, giving a big scare to Georgetown. Steve Lavin's homecoming spoiled. Of course, now the St. John's coach, formerly the UCLA coach. His team, the Red Storm, losing by 7 to the Bruins, coached by Ben Howland, the former Pitt Panthers coach. And Syracuse reaches their 20th win of the season. Again, that 20-win plateau, 33rd time under head coach Jim Boeheim. Woodall misses the free throw again. Boy, the Panthers, again, Brooke, this game could be way out of reach. This fouling would never have happened if the Panthers were able to hit their free throws. And Woodall hits the second, but as long as they're going to give you a chance, I mean, you might as well keep scrapping and playing. And that's what the Bearcats have done.
Well, it's really interesting. You know, you always look at 2 different halves, and what 2 halves we've seen from Pitt today. I mean, the first half, it was almost mistake-free. And in the second half, Pitt has just, you know, slacked a little on mental toughness side, just allowing Cincinnati to come in the game. And they're going to call the foul there. Gilbert Brown reaching in. You know, referee from the backside doesn't allow himself to see whether or not that was the hand or the ball, but you know, really no reason at this point to try and slap at the ball to get the steal. Just allow your guys to play help side defense, get the rebound. You've got 39 seconds left. There's no reason to stop the clock and allow Cincinnati any more chance to put points on the board.
And Parker for Thomas substitution pattern continues, and there'll be some coaching points for Jamie Dixon after this game. Looked like it was going to be a laugh or a runaway victory up by 23, and it's going to be a much closer game in the final score than from what we saw most of the night. Wanamaker, the long inbound to Trayvon Woodall. And Woodall going to be fouled by Davis, and they're going to count the basket. On the continuation for Trayvon Woodall, the lead back up to 10. It had been cut down to 8, and a chance to make it 11.
Good look and release by Woodall to read the pass. And who's the guy to throw it in but Brad Wanamaker? As you said, Robbie, he reads what the defense gives him. He stays patient. He does not turn the ball over. Came into this game 117 assists on the season. One of the 30 finalists for the Wooden Award and the All-American team.
Boy, another missed free throw for the Panthers.
That's going to be a big point addressed by Jamie Dixon tomorrow, no question.
Kashmir Wright looking for some help. And Davis tried the long three-pointer, shot no good. Woodall with a rebound, and fouled again by Kashmir Wright. Let's take a look at the Panthers' upcoming schedule, the Backyard Brawl Hoops version. at West Virginia Monday night, and then at Villanova coming up on February 12th, South Florida, then at St. John's and West Virginia again. So, business as usual in the Big East Conference.
Yeah, not tough at all. Man, 2 times against West Virginia. You know that rivalry is always there, always going to get guys pumped up. But just a tough stretch really for everybody down the line. And no easy games in the Big East.
Jamie Dixon has the best record ever among best winning percentage ever among Big East coaches in Big East Conference play. 208 and 56, 102 and 42 in Big East Conference plays, and won nearly 71% of his Big East Conference games. Remarkable coaching job by Jamie Dixon. Under 20 seconds remaining. Wright has it rejected by Gary McGee, and Woodall will skip back to Gibbs.
Big G with the big D.
And an exclamation point, and for the fans here at the Peterson Event Center, hoping that's a precursor of things to come in the Super Bowl tomorrow, as they're getting ready for their Steelers defense to turn things up. Jamie Dixon's team improves to 21-2 on the season. Mick Cronin's Cincinnati Bearcats.
Well, it wasn't exactly pretty, but Jamie Dixon's going to take it as Cincinnati falls at Pittsburgh tonight, 71-59. We welcome you inside our New York studios. The Samuel Adams postgame show. Gary Apple alongside the former Providence coach Tim Wells, former St. John's coach Norm Roberts alongside. And fellas, it really wasn't as close, I think, as the score indicated. 12 points is how it finished up. But Norm, I'll begin with you. This is a Pittsburgh team that arguably is the best team in the Big East at the moment.
Well, I think so. And the other thing tonight, it was like a slow death. They just keep coming at you. The game got tight at the end because they really were just trying to play out the string. But I really thought Pitt played well, and Ashton Gibbs was terrific.
Pittsburgh goes to 21-2 on the season. They're 9-1 in the Big East. And here's a Cincinnati team that we're getting into the point of the season where they've got to start to win some significant games to get the tournament committee's attention, and they didn't seem to have that urgency tonight.
Well, eerily similar to last season, where they were 5-4, just as they were tonight coming into this game, and then they lost 8 out of 11 down the stretch, and they ended up 7-11 in the league. They had problems. They went into the NIT, and Cincinnati right now is going the wrong way very quickly. They have problems with Gates. They are offensively very, very challenged. It's tough to win. We don't have anything from the perimeter at all.
Yancey Gates did not play tonight. He's been suspended indefinitely for a violation of team rules, and so they missed his big body, his big presence in the middle as Cincinnati. Their strength of schedule is not very good either, amongst the worst in the country. So all things pointing in a bad direction for Mick Cronin right at the moment. As far as Pittsburgh goes, Ashton Gibbs, I mean, he came out on fire all game long, just kept it going.
Well, Ashton Gibbs has that step-back shot tonight. He got into a rhythm because Pittsburgh was moving the ball and moving the men. Against Rutgers a week ago, they stood around a lot. Tonight, they set their screens. They went inside first, then opened up the perimeter for one of the best shooters around.
Gibbs had 25 on 7 of 11 shooting, 5 of 5 from downtown. Those 25 points were his season high. And, Norm, Pittsburgh got a lot of easy baskets. They got up and they got down the floor and created pretty good shots for themselves.
Well, they got them because they got them off of their defense as well. And they ran in transition, and Pitt is at its best when it is scoring off their defense and running in transition. That's how they average so many points.
Pittsburgh shot at just about 48% in the game, and not only was Gibbs a factor, but Gilbert Brown had 11 points in the game for Jamie Dixon's team, as again they go to 9-1 in the conference. This was just one of a myriad of games in the conference today, and Connecticut getting all they can handle tonight just down the way from us at the Rock in Newark, taking on Seton Hall as we get a good look at Jim Calhoun. His team has lost 2 consecutive